What we've got here today is one of the cool guitars that I always wanted to have, just to see what it was all built of. This is a Samick. This is a Radio 10. There's a couple of different lines. They have the TV20, I think that came out later, and I think maybe the Radio 10 are the kind of like the entry-level guitars for this one. I will tell you from the top, it's a strange bird. It is a very weird guitar. It's the strangest shape of guitar I've ever played. Almost feels like kind of a telly shape, but it's not. It's actually smaller, and it's got just some weird horn type effects, different kind of curve for the cutout here, and it's got the standard, you know, kind of Les Paul SG type hardware on it. It's strung a little strange too. It makes sense to do it this way, but it looks like the tuners, you tune these guys right here to tune them up and then tune them down like this, but you do it the opposite way. You tune it like this to go up and you go like this to go down because they're reversed on both sides. So not every guitar I have are like that, but it's just, anyways, that's the way they strung it. It's kind of strange. The weirdest thing about this guitar that I noticed when I first got it was the neck. The neck on this sucker is a baseball bat cut in half. I mean, there is no other way to say it. This is definitely the thickest neck I've ever played in my life, and it's got fairly tiny frets. I would say that these are probably thin. I would call them thin frets. They're very, very flat and very, very thin. So they don't feel like you would associate them with kind of a blue Saraceno guitar, because you would just imagine, like from the Plaid that I have and the other two RGZs, they're big, thick necks, but they also have big, thick frets too. So I'm kind of surprised that they built it with this. So I don't know how much this is spec'd to be like his. Obviously, the body shape is the model of his, but he has the humbucker setup, and this is the obviously HSS setup. So it does come with a 5-way switch and a standard volume with the tone. I believe I have not pulled this cavity apart, so I don't know the inside of this. But really, what I'm trying to do today is I'm not trying to bash it. I'm not trying to say this is crap as it was, but to tell you the truth, when I first plugged it in, I could really tell how poor the electronics were. Now, when I say poor, I'm just saying they're not Seymour Duncans, they're not DiMarzios, they're not custom anything like that. This is an entry-level Samick, and I think these are all made in, 99% sure, I think the sticker fell off, but I think they're made in Korea. 99% sure they're made in Korea. But anyways, it's a unique guitar, so let's go ahead and give it a whirl. I'm going to record, and I'm just going to go ahead and show you what the basic, Guitar Center, Sam Ash type of, just sit down with a chord and just see if it even resonates. And we'll start with this. I have this tuned to E flat. So I kind of like to play guitars just straight up acoustically before I plug them in, because the electronics, as we know, we can change all that kind of stuff. There's a million different ways we can do that. But if it doesn't play good, if it just doesn't connect with you, you're never going to want to pick it back up. So all this stuff can be changed. Now this shipped to me with 9s. I play with 10s, so it's automatically going to feel a little bit different. But I think that this guitar will be something that's going to be pretty epic. It's going to be a little strange guitar for me, but once I swap out the electronics, which I think, but I want to give you a fair warning, so if you're thinking about buying one of these things, let's see what it's got. So, I'm just going to put on my Axe Effects. I've got an amp setting with a car roamer, and I've got like a little bit of chorus and reverb on there and delay or something like that, but it's going to be pretty standard. So I'll go and record the cleans, just so you can hear it. So this is the full bridge pickup. To the split, so it splits the humbucker. Now we've got the humbucker in the middle. Now just the middle. Of these two pickups. And then got the neck pickup. there's not really any kind of issues with it being out of intonation. It doesn't. It plays really nice. It does feel like it's got, I would say, a pretty dead straight neck. That's one thing I am impressed with. This guitar is pretty much straight. I don't think I even messed with that. I may have straightened the neck, but I think it came pretty well set up. And I lowered it as pretty low as I could get it. But there are some fretting issues, but not a big deal. So let me just run through a couple of just little lead licks on each one of the settings here. So that being said, the guitar makes me want to play it. That is a plus, okay? It's odd and goofy looking, and I've had this guitar for almost a year, and I still haven't done anything with it. So that's also something to be said about it. It's alluring, but it's not really something that, because of the pickups and the configuration, it is. Now, I had another guitar that I did not connect with, and I thought it looked like crap. Now, I will just show you this. For pickup placement, if you look really close at this, all right, you can see that the string is way off. Okay, I'm sorry if it's not that easy to see, but do you see how close? Look at the high E string. Look at how far off that pole piece is. So these are the wrong. They are way wrong for this particular model. So they just kind of slapped in whatever you can see. You can see how offset that is, and these are definitely stock, but that's poor manufacturing if you're just going to ask me. So they put it in there for a different radius in here, but they just took whatever stock pickups of crap and everything like that. So these are the little kind of anomalies that most people would never even notice. But since I've worked with so many guitars, this is just, it's just goofy. Now looking at it from a bird's eye, what I'm actually noticing here is it's really not so much the pickup being the wrong pickup. It's actually whoever mounted when the factory was being built. You can see, well, it's a little hard, I'm sorry, but if you look inside the cavity, it's the pickup is shifted. So the routing is actually, it's pushed the pickup all the way over here. So when they put it in there, they didn't try to line it up, they just screwed it down. So that's a downside of the workmanship of when this thing was built. It was just built by somebody that didn't give a crap. You know, they just put it in there and they just didn't do this. Now, is that hard to fix? Not really. You could stick a piece of dowel, you take a toothpick and break off the little bit in there, wet it and put it in there, and then you could drill another screw hole and it'll fill it in. Or you can take some putty or whatever. But the whole idea is how well these things are set up. Not very good. So I would imagine the intonation's not great. The pickup height is going to be off. All this stuff is just going to have to be professionally set up. And again, these frets, if you ever had to refret these things, or not refret, but if you ever had to level them, you wouldn't have very much to go. I'm talking about these things are, I would say the thickness of this pick, that's how thick these frets are. That's pretty good as far as like how thick that is. So being the fact that they're this thick on a guitar that has a neck that thick, it's pretty nuts. So anyways, but now let's try some distortion tones. I've got this right here. They just kind of picked out. I went through a whole bunch of sounds. Some of them sounded pretty good, some of them did not. But again, this one's got some got some fire on it. So. Try it on the neck pickup. Go into the neck and middle. Middle's just kind of a waste of time. Just back to that bridge. I'm really digging the hell out of these pickups, and again, they get a little bit of a mid-range, kind of a honk and a squeak and a... What I do like is it's picking up... I know it sounds like it's an annoying sound, but it's the scrape of the edge of the pick, and that gives you a lot of tone. Because depending on where you're picking on the string, it changes a lot of that. So let's just go ahead and kind of put this one down for a second. I will say what I like about this guitar is it does make you want to beat the hell out of it. It seems like it's a lot of fun to play this. I definitely am going to probably put the wrap on it. Now it looks like either somebody did sign this with Blue Saraceno's kind of fake signature, because there's something like in this. I know it's really hard to see, but it looks like it was a Sharpie that just wiped off. But this could be Blue Saraceno's signature, because I do have his signature on a couple other different things. One is a motorcycle helmet, and the other one is his plaid guitar from the Yamaha. But I don't really care about that. I'll probably end up wrapping this with some kind of a cool plaid wrap, just because it's his style and everything like that, and you know, I've got that. But it would be fun to have that. Anyways, long story short, it's a cool guitar. It's fairly light. It's comfortable to play when you're holding it. It sits really nice. The neck is very comfortable, even though it's ginormous. It's got tiny little frets, which I'd wish they were jumbos. I think that would be a big plus. I'm not really a fan of a varnished fretboard as far as maple. It is two pieces. It is a separate fingerboard versus the neck, so it's not just a one piece. The pickups, I mean, as you can tell, I mean, it's the player, it's not really the guitar, but I mean, an entry-level person could get away with this and be very happy with this. So if you scored this thing for like $300 or less, I think in this condition, because it's in really good shape, there's no big chips or monks or anything like that. There is a little bit of a crack from where the neck is, but it's an older guitar. It's from the 90s. So that's pretty common for any guitar from that period. So would I recommend it? Yes, I would say this is a cool guitar. If you like RG 550s from the 90s, you're gonna hate this thing. But if you have big hands, if you got banana hands, this is probably going to be one of your favorite instruments to play because it's got a pretty thin radius here, okay, as far as the width of the neck. The radius does not feel like there's a strong one there. It's pretty flat, so it's very comfortable to play bar chords and everything like that. But it's, like I said, it's got its quirks, but I think that if I put some really dope pickups in this, I think it'll scream. So thanks for watching, and I'll do the review once I get the electronics in there and see what this thing can do.